I'm Paula, creator of DreamInterpretationCoach.com. And this is a series with author, counselor, and dream expert, Dr. Barbara Condron. She interviews my husband Billy about his dreams during our 108-day Om Chanting Challenge. Now in part 14, we learned what it is to have a dog named Skittles in your dream, and why Billy would have guests in his old guest house and property he doesn't even own any longer. But that very same night, he had another dream where he was a stand-in for a guru in a large auditorium, and a scuffle turns into a vortex. Then, don't miss this, Billy and Dr. Barbara both make a commitment. Let's get started.
Dream, I'm in a large round auditorium. So this was like it was built like a sports arena, like Madison Square Garden or something, There was a featured speaker, and we're sitting on one side of the arena, and we're sitting next to each other. He needs to take a break, and he puts me in his place, in his seat, while he's gone, and wants me to take question and answers from the audience, which was several hundred people in the stands. Okay. So I tell people to stand up and raise their hands if they have a question, and I'll call on them. It's a little chaotic as some people try to go in front of others to get their questions into me first. And I tell them, hold off. I call on people by mentioning the color of their shirts. So like, okay, you in the green shirt, you're next, and you in the blue behind the guy in the brown that just stepped in front of you, you're next, and then the guy in the brown is next. So I lay it all out for them, as to what turn each one will have to answer their questions. I'm glad we didn't get into what the questions were, because I don't even know what the topic was,
But obviously, guru means teacher. So obviously, it's universal mind again. And this is a recurring theme through your dreams that you've been having. And quite often there are stores, the store where you work, which is Lowe's. You've got auditoriums. You've had different symbols through the last few weeks.
Shopping malls.
Where it puts you into universal mind. So what universal mind is a symbol for, like Google is probably how people would understand it the most, where it's like this connection that we all have in our thinking that makes humanity what it is. So that's universal. It's all minds working together at the same time. And so this is an auditorium where there's a speaker. So there's a focus, and the focus is on wisdom. If it's a speaker and he's a guru, then that would seem to me to mean superconscious mind. Is that what it means to you?
Yes. Yeah. I don't call him. In the next paragraph, I refer to him as guru, and we both read this, so you know that up front, that's what I refer to him later. Not to confuse people that are listening to this right now. In the very next paragraph, that's what I call him. And that's the first word that came up as I'm typing it down. In the first paragraph, I knew that he was there to speak to the crowd. I don't know if he had to go to the restroom or what, but he needed to take a break, and he needed to leave. So he sat me in his chair and said, "Take Q&A from the people while I'm gone."
So in some way, you have been entrusted with that wisdom space that the superconscious mind conveys. So it is up to you to be able to interact with the aspects of yourself that are unknown. They're people that you don't know. And the way that you create order is through how they are expressing themselves. So the shirts would be the expression, how these aspects of self express.
Those are expressions, outer expression.
Right. And the colors would more, even though I'm sure that you could break it down vibrationally wise in terms of, red would be emotion and blue would be spirituality and yellow would be intellectualism, things like that. More important to me is that the bold colors, they were bold, it seemed like, yes, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would not need. Yeah.
Yeah. It tells you what level of mind you are dreaming in. Now, why is that important? That's important because you're starting to claim your individual wisdom. You're coming from universal mind, which is a particular point in mind that some people might recognize as the Akashic record. If you've delved into Eastern teachings, the Akasha being mind substance, it's kind of like the library at Alexandria, only it's a dream library. It's in the mind. It's not physicalized. So you are beginning to accept a certain level of authority to bring out the wisdom through question and answer, through gathering your aspects, through pointing them out, directing them in specific ways, which is important because the dream before had Skittles and your love for Skittles and your experiences with Skittles and Skittles' life story, right? Which was all compulsive, which is also back to the man and woman being people that you don't know, a married couple you don't know. Now we're getting into more people that you don't know, but you are in charge. You are directing the activity.
Yeah, and I direct something else after this too in the next paragraph. So once again, we have another unknown husband and wife that come into the picture here. A husband and wife, and this husband and wife have a teenage daughter with them. And they come from another part of the auditorium to sit close to me for that purpose. They knew me and saw that there was empty seats around me. They didn't understand that one of those empty seats belonged to the guru. And I said teenage daughter here earlier. I actually have written down that she was a 20-something-year-old daughter. Okay, so correct that. She must have sat in the guru's seat because I asked her to move down a row to another empty seat, and she did.
See, I think that's important. Not only do you have an offspring now from the married couple, which you didn't have before, so that's a new element. It's also a different couple, so you're looking at a different commitment that you made. But most telling is that she's a 20-something, and that's what you wrote down. Well, the Om Challenge days that you're now in the middle of are the 20s. These dreams happen after you have sounded 25 repetitions of Om and immersed yourself in that. And if you remember back when we introduced the 20s, we talk about duality. We talk about the reality of the yin and the yang working together and how that's important and why. And all of the 20s from 20 to 29 through 29 are exploring that in the individual. So you've got that resonating in your dream with balance, with the bike rack.
And then the zero denoting understanding and wisdom, correct?
Yes, power, your individual power, how you comprehend that dance between the feminine and the masculine inside you. And you are a highly intuitive man. And, typically your average person will talk about mother's intuition, woman's intuition, that kind of thing, and not really claim it if you're a male. That is in the just the beginning of changing right now, particularly in our Western society, in a society that has, cultivated a certain standard of living where it's not the money that counts, it's the interaction between people that makes all the difference. And people being able to work together, which the United States has been very good with up until recently. And now it's all being kind of thrown up in question, where really what's underneath all that is that we're actually becoming more solid in who we are and how we really do make things happen. And so there's that same element that's coming up in your dream. You now are not just listening to the guru that you don't know, but you are actually beginning to be the one who is doing the communicating and directing the aspects of yourself, even to the point of having this young girl leave the seat for the guru because it's not hers to have. So there's that level of self-awareness in you as well. She would represent a subconscious aspect. So that
Right.
tells me that you've got a clarity about the difference between subconscious mind, conscious mind, and superconscious mind, and that they have a relationship that has a certain order and has a certain respectability to it.
Okay. So things take a little turn here.
Yes, it gets interesting now, doesn't it?
Yeah, in the last paragraph here, the last scene, there was several hundred people on the floor of the arena, floor of the auditorium. And I type in here that there was a fight on the floor. It wasn't so much of a fight as that it was more like a pushing and shoving. So the large crowd was on the floor. They were very tightly compact and they were pushing and shoving each other. And then it started swirling around. It's like I just saw the pattern of these beings swirling around, in the pattern of like a chakra. It was like, I type in here that like it was like a vortex. At first it was swirling around and then it started moving in a circle. Okay, so all these bodies are moving in a circle. And it started intensifying to where it turned into a vortex that started sucking air into it. So from every direction, 360 degrees, air started sucking into it. And the dream ends with me holding out some garbage, like it was a paper sack, like an empty paper sack from a fast food restaurant or something with paper trash inside of it. And I just held it up and watched as the vortex just sucked it in. And there's some other things that happen after that, but it gets real fuzzy. So I just end the dream right there.
Yeah. The scuffle part is all those unknown aspects. And, it comes after the Q&A where you were organizing. So some kind of effect or repercussion from you organizing your thinking with authority, the authority from the guru, he gave it to you and you assumed it. So whatever that was in you that you were beginning to create that order actually agitated the unknown aspects. And of course, the vortex is an obvious symbol for the energy of what people call chakras, the movement of energy, moving from one place to another. The fact that it moves into the air and it's like a galaxy, which is a heavenly kind of image, is talking about returning energy back into mind. Chakras work in both ways. They work from the inside out and the outside in. So they are meant to convert energies. So they will take spiritual energies and convert them into material. In other words, the things that you really dream of and you want, you can manifest in your life. If you dream of a car, then you can be driving in that car. If you dream of a house or a relationship, then you can actually manifest those and live them out as it is. Our dreams come true kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Then the amount of energy that's drawn out of mind to make those things happen has to be replaced. If it's not, then we physically die. So the action of returning the energy back into mind from things that have been manifested is to gain experience and understanding from that manifestation. So if you manifest a house, then living in the house, using the house for your experiences every day, and the understandings that you can gain from being married, having children, working in your house, whatever you're doing, returns that energy back into mind so that you can keep creating. And that's in 2 minutes, that's the talk about chakras, is what they're meant to do. In your dream, all of these unconscious aspects that you stirred up, that you've agitated with your questions and your answers, are moving energy back into mind. In other words, one of the clearest ways that I've taught people through the years to own their own authority, to really know who they are and what they understand about life and to use it, is to be able to ask questions and to ask the right question. The right question is the one that answers itself. People tend to ask a question and it takes them on this wild goose chase, and they may never find the answer because they're looking out here. Where in reality, and this is part of what Om teaches us, because it teaches us to be completely still and in the present. So when the mind can conceive a question, the place from which the question moved is the place that has the answer. It's not all out here. And that's the typical human journey of the hero's journey, that he thinks he has to leave and go out and go through all these experiences, get all this stuff, and then come back with the answer or the boon or something like that, where it's really a story of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, where she realizes that she already had everything, right? She never had to leave home. So we're a wonderful mixture, we human beings, of both a tale like, Luke Skywalker and the Jedi, who goes all over the universe and then comes back, and also the tale of Dorothy. We're both. And that's the two energy, which you're studying now with your Om, and which came up in your dream in several symbols. The fact that you put the garbage out to be recycled, the chakras are recyclers of energy. And that's actually a lot of why we talk about recycling so much now. It's because we are now ready to learn how to convert energy, how to change from one form to another. We've been doing it all along, but we now have the intelligence factor and the brain capacity to be able to make this part of our conscious awareness. So we don't relegate all that onto subconscious mind and burden it, but we start taking more conscious responsibility. And that I also see in Dream 2, because that's exactly what you're doing.
Now, I hope you listened to the previous part 14, because now we're going to understand how that dream and this dream resonate together, because they were in the same night.
So is there a relation in these two dreams from an overall theme with the theme of day 25 on the Om challenge of resonance?
In the vortex, particularly, I mean, it's like the vortex being there is spot on. Yeah. Because the vortex energy is resonance. It is the ability for two things to vibrate in sympatical, so that they actually become one. It's, it's the whole urge, and the marriage is in your dreams, so it's the whole urge to mate, for two people to come together as one and to experience what that is. In Tibetan dream yoga, it's Tantra. It's the ability to use the mind for its creative ability.
Right.
And that's exactly what Om is about.
Okay, these two dreamers are going to make a commitment to themselves.
And I'm going to make a commitment. When we get off the air here right now, I'm going to write down everything that happened today in my journal. Even things that seem, there's things that might seem insignificant to other people, that little things that I pick up on throughout the day. And those are the things that I'm going to focus on to put in my journal. So tomorrow, when tomorrow's dream comes up, I can see more about what it's related to me personally.
And what I'm going to do based upon that from you is I'm going to make a commitment, that something I've been thinking about for quite some time. I'm going to make a PDF that will be available to all the people in the Om Challenge to easily write down a checklist of what happened during the daydreaming, and then a space for a mirror of that for the night dreaming. And then that open space in between where you can write how they connect. And I will draw that up, and I will make sure that our current mastermind has it for our meeting tomorrow, which we have. And I will make sure that it's available for anybody in the future who might take the OM challenge, because it's definitely needed. It will help. And thank you for that
It will.
stimulus.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So happy dreaming this week. And yeah.
Thank you
And
for all you're doing. I appreciate it very much.
you're welcome. It's a privilege.
Wow, that was so interesting, as Dr. Barbara always is. In this dream, we learn what is going on with questions and answers in a dream, what it means to have a scuffle, and most interesting of all, I think, is the vortex. Let's also stay tuned to see if Billy and Dr. Barbara both keep their commitments to themselves. So be sure you watch the future episode 16. Like, subscribe if you would like notifications when I put up another video. And just go to my website, dreaminterpretationcoach.com, if you have any questions or you'd like your own dream interpreted. Thank you and happy dreaming.